All right, guys. So you read the title of this goddamn video? These are the worst movies I've ever seen in my fucking life. All right. Starting with number 10, we got Thor: Love and Thunder, and yeah, this is easily the worst MCU movie I've ever seen in my life. And yes, I've seen Quantumania. I think like Quantumania is way better than this movie. Like this is like the only MCU movie I would probably like actually put in F tier. Like there's something that I don't like. Don't get me wrong. Like this is the only one like I genuinely could say I hate. Um, yeah, this movie is just so fucking awful, dude. Like, what hurts me most about this movie is Thor is easily one of my favorite MCU characters. Is favorite like one of my favorite like Marvel superheroes in general, actually. But like I love him in the MCU so much. Like why does he get all the bad movies? Well, actually, I don't even want to say that because like he doesn't get all the bad movies. He has good movies, but like, why does he have to get this shit, man? Give the shit to like fucking, um, anyone else, honestly. Like, but anyways, that's besides the point. Yeah, this movie, man, it's like the only redeeming quality, and the only reason this movie is not in the top five, honestly, is Christian Bale as Gore, man. Like this dude kills it, man. This dude is the like this. He's one of the best villains in the MCU, in my opinion, and his performance absolutely makes this movie. Genuinely the only thing saving it from being lower on the list. And Zeus, man, like Zeus is like literally the least likable piece of shit in the whole MCU, man. Like, dude, and they're fucking written that way. There's deleted scenes where he's actually like a good character that I actually like seeing, where he's actually like nice to Thor, and he like actually wanted to like somewhat help with the problem they had. But instead, they decided to make him. Oh, what if we make Zeus and then make him a piece of shit unintentionally? So when we kill him off, you're like, thank fucking god that guy's dead. Um, and then we can have some funny jokes. Like, fuck you, dude, alright? Like, fuck you, alright? Like, fuck you. Like, I can't believe that the end credits scene pissed me off, too, because like, I can't believe, like, they made a character as unlikable as him, and, like, they decided, oh, yeah, this is a good character, we can bring him back. Like, how many fucking villains, or how many characters, like, how many characters has the fucking MCU killed off, and they let that guy live? Like, come on, he's so annoying. Okay, he deserved to die. He was written in a way you would think, wow, this guy deserves to fucking die. He fucking died, and like, fuck that. That's just the worst scene in the movie. Like the whole movie is like fucking. It's just fucking like, oh man, eat my hammer. Okay, that actually wasn't that bad. That scene's overhated, but like, it's like, and the ending was so forced too, man. Like they could have just had Gore make the wish, like and have it like just be like a misinterpretation, like have him just be like, oh, the whole time all he wanted was to save his daughter. Oh yeah, and I'm going to be spoiling the fuck out of these movies if you haven't told already. So if you haven't seen any of these movies, which I suggest you don't, but if you haven't seen any of these movies, yeah, please don't watch this video. But anyways, yeah, he's like instead of like just having Gore make that wish and have it just be a huge misunderstanding, he doesn't want to kill any of the gods. The gods are just being pieces of shit. Which is another thing. I wanted him to kill the gods because all the other gods besides Thor were so fucking unlikable in this movie. And the god he killed, yeah, that guy definitely deserves to have his species annihilated. I'm just saying, like if it was me, I would have definitely done the same thing Gordon. Like that guy is an awful fucking person, and he probably got kicked out of hell because the devil didn't even want him there. He's like, oh no, get the hell out. Anyway, but they could have easily just had Gore be like, yeah, man, the whole time I don't want to kill any gods. It's just the gods who wanted to kill me. Which that's not a Gore could go and brag on. I didn't want to kill the gods, man. The fuck you talking about? There, that's better. That Ford did this like fucking Undertale bullshit where it's like, you don't have to do this, Gore. Your daughter is dead. Your daughter is dead still. And it's like, fuck. It's like It's like, dude, he deserved to win so fucking bad, and he technically didn't. And it's like, wow, screw you, movie. Yeah, worst MCU movie I've ever seen. Um, yeah, I can't believe it isn't higher on the list. To be honest with you, number 9 is Sausage Party. Man, I remember Sausage Party. Man, this like big titty golf girls keep telling me how good it was and needed to see it. Yeah, never forgave her for that one. Sausage Party is like Sasha's Party, man. Like, It was just like fucking an hour and a half of just the most vulgar thing they can come up with, and that's not why I don't like the movie. Because like I actually have a pretty dark sense of humor. Like actually like that's not a like I like South Park. I like Family Guy. Like so that's not why the movie's bad. It's bad because like they weren't actually creative with it. They're just like trying to make this movie like, oh, what if we made this movie like really offensive? Yeah, and to make matters worse, not only is it all that stuff I just said, they thought sex was the funniest fucking thing that has ever been invented in human history. Like they had ranked like the top three funniest things. They would say Rick and Morty and sex. Like, and the main villain's name is Douche, and they're supposed to laugh like, huh, cause he's a douche. Like, no, that's not fucking funny. Like, or like that was funny at first maybe, but like that's not fucking funny. Like this having his name being Douche isn't funny. Like that's what it is. And they're just doing like wild shit that like didn't work. And worse, it's like an obvious attempt to like cash in on the whole craze where it's like everything's coming to life. Like that was kind of big. It's obviously an attempt to just cash in on that. And like, dude, there's like no jokes in this movie that landed. Like except for the only one I would say landed is like when they're singing that supermarket song, and then the like freaking, and then like the Nazis showed up. Like that was pretty funny. But like other than that, that whole movie was bad. Like and the concept is so stupid too. Like usually in an animated movie, like I could forgive, like I could give suspension of disbelief, obviously, but like the concept is just fucking stupid. Like no, food isn't alive. Food isn't alive. The food doesn't come alive when I'm not looking at it. All right, like toys, yeah, like someone could believe that, but like food, that's not gonna come alive if I blink. Yeah, Sausage Party was just not a. It was just a very very bad movie that I think was just made to like just be out there. Uh, like oh, people like Filthy Frank. What if we're really offensive and racist? Even though there's no. It was just a bad movie. I think they made it just to be like, huh, this is an animated movie and it's racist. Like Anyways, number 8 is The Good Dinosaur. This is easily the worst Pixar movie I've ever seen in my life. Like I've seen this movie like twice, dude. Like with different family members in its entirety. I think we've seen it like even more than that, like just in parts, but like in its entirety, I've seen it twice. And I could barely tell you what happens in this fucking movie. It is 3 hours of absolutely nothing happening. Like, and antagonist, dude, it's not up for debate. Like, they're easily the worst Pixar's ever had, man. Like, Screensaver better. All right, the worst first villains in any Pixar movie, hands down. And like, yeah, just like nothing fucking happens in this movie. Like, yeah, generally I think it deserved the flop. Like, I heard of the flop. I'm generally pleased to hear that because it was so fucking boring. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they told me that it was like made like just to like make it so like there was noise in the room for like when there's like for like babies or something. Because like there was generally nothing that happened in this movie. Like this movie was so boring. Number 7 is kind of a unique one, but it's any live action movie that's based off of a cartoon, and that's excluding the live action Cat in the Hat, just because I think it's a little bit better than these. And I've seen it like way too many times compared to the other ones of these to justify it being on a top 10 list. Even though I don't really like that movie either, it's not as bad as these, and I kind of owe it not being on the top 10 list, so it's not on the top 10. But every other live action movie that is based off of a cartoon is on here, man. Dude, when I was a kid, they kept fucking making these, and they're awful every single time. There's not a single good one that they've ever fucking made. There's again, I don't think I think Cat in the Hat's the only one I've seen that tried to be good, and that's why I saw it so many fucking times because it's the only movie they're making, and I'm like, well, I'd rather have a polished turd than a turd that like just came out of the fucking toilet. And it's like, yeah, these movies were terrible, and just to give you an idea of how bad they were and how tired people were of them making them. Well, you know how some people are mad at like how many superhero movies are getting, like when a lot of them aren't good. Imagine that times like 50, dude. Like it was like the only fucking movies Hollywood was making for like till I was like probably like 6 years old, and I don't even want to say that. Like, and it was like they were awful every single time. Like superhero movies are good most of the time. Like the MCU is good most of the time. The DCU is bad most of the time, but. But anyways, like but none of these were good, and everyone was tired of them. And it was unlike the comic book movies, it was an obvious attempt to just like milk people for nostalgia, and it was working. But like, yeah, it just wasn't a very because it just wasn't a very good trend, and I'm so glad it's over. Um, yeah, all these movies sucked. They're in seventh place. The only reason I did put them all in seventh place is because I genuinely couldn't decide which one was the worst one, like because they're just all so fucking awful. That and it would honestly probably be like half this list if I could. Like these movies suck. Number six is Star Wars Episode 8, and you know we're in for a good list if Episode 8 is only number six. Episode 8, yeah. Let me repeat that. Last Jedi is outside of the top fucking five. Last Jedi is outside of the top five. Like, whew. Yeah, I shouldn't need to explain why this movie's so fucking awful. Like this movie, first off, okay, first problem with this movie is it doesn't continue anything that like Force Awakens has in it. Which Force Awakens already isn't like one of my favorite Star Wars movies. But like I remember seeing Force Awakens in theaters, and I would honestly do that again. So that's way more than I could say about the other Disney Star Wars movies. But yeah, I would. But it doesn't continue anything off of Force Awakens. It's just a random movie, which I mean, I guess that would be fine, but it isn't fine at all. Actually, it just like completely doesn't make any fucking sense. Something I don't like about this is I think it's an obviously just trying to be like the old Star Wars, and it's like bro, how was the First Order not the fucking Resistance? If the First Order is the one invading the galactic government, like they're obviously just calling it the fucking Resistance because it was the rebellion in the other fucking Star Wars movies, and you want people to be like, oh, like the First Order is the fucking Resistance, dude. All right, like stop fucking calling yourself the Resistance. And dude, I hated everyone in this fucking movie except for like General Hux and Kylo Ren. Like I wanted the First Order to win just because I fucking hate everyone else in this fucking movie. Like not that they're bad actors or anything, but their characters are written like shit. Like Rey gets way too powerful way too quickly. That becomes a much bigger problem in the later Star Wars movies. Hint, hint. But you know she gets way too strong, way too fast. And like, dude, this what they did with Snoke was also unforgivable, dude. Like I wasn't that into Snoke, but like they also didn't. But they also should not have done him like fucking this. If they're going to kill him in episode 8, like they should. They honestly should have just killed him in episode fucking 7. Had to have Kylo Ren kill him in episode 7, and Kylo Ren's in charge of the First Order because he did fucking nothing in both movies, and everyone was excited. Oh, he's going to do some shit in episode 8 and episode 9. That's why they're building him up. No, he didn't. He was killed immediately in episode 8, and the fight scene where he died in wasn't even that good. Like it was just people going, it was just going swinging a lightsaber with like no choreography. Yeah, I mean Luke was good in this movie. That's the only thing I could say positive about this movie. Yeah, they clearly had no plan for any of the sequels, and well, like this movie just fucking sucked. Number five is 2012. Like 2012 is like one of the worst like apocalypse movies I've ever seen in my life. Main problem with this movie is it's just way too campy, dude. Like every single character in the fucking movie survives. Like and doesn't even come close to 9 like once. Maybe like once like the dad comes close to 9. Like I would also like to edit in, like I'll edit in. I forgot to mention how much I hate this scene. I kind of did, but I didn't mention this part and how much I hate this part in particular, and it fits here. And I want to talk more about the scene later, but I just want to say, the dude's running from the Yellowstone volcano, the earth shattering. He falls through the earth shattering, but he climbs up one-handed, holding a map they need to get to the safe zone, what you're going to the airport for. And then he's able to climb up onto a fucking plane while the earth is re-shattering behind him. That's complete bullshit. They should have had the dude on the mountain do that and have him die, but the dudes in the plane get the map or something. Like that's ridiculous. Like, come on. And it's like, dude, the world is ending, dude, and like nothing is happening. Like nothing is happening. There's like, oh, we're gonna go to Yellowstone for to see what's going on, and then when they get to Yellowstone, they just go to an airport for some reason. And they like fucking showed us like Russian guys' sacrifices. That's supposed to be like a big thing. That's like, you were in fucking one scene of the movie up until this point. Like, I'm not gonna feel sad for you dying. Like, in fact, I'm gonna feel happy for you dying because no one has died in this fucking movie. And then for some reason, like they fucking like I think it was just an obvious attempt to cash in on the fact that everyone thought the world was going to end in 2012, and they didn't care about making the movie good at all, and it didn't come out good at all. And yeah, the CG was okay for like the CG is like okay. It was good for the time, but it's like okay. Really, really doesn't save the movie in my opinion. Especially because they don't even fucking do anything with it. Again, no one dies in this movie. Every time there's a thing where they can get out, they get out completely unfucking injured, unless they want to die for some reason. Yeah, that's another thing. The guy at Yellowstone's like, yes, hit me, hit me. It's like, why do you want to die? That's never explained why he wants to get hit by the fucking volcano. And it's like, oh, yeah, he got hit by the volcano. Like, no, have him fucking come with him. Have him, like, explain what's going on or some shit. I don't know. Don't write these useless fucking characters in the movie. Like, that are only there for a set piece so you can show the fucking volcano erupting. Like, just show the fucking volcano erupting on the news or some shit. Then have the family go, uh-oh. You know, like fuck this movie. Number 4 is Hop. Oh yeah, I shouldn't need to explain why Hop's so fucking bad. And if I do, that's probably because you haven't seen Hop. Now, Illumination is a studio that does not have a very high reputation at all, man. Like they make mostly very bad movies. Like to the point where I feel like if they had made a top 20, I think at least 3 of their movies, including Hop, would be on this list. But this is easily their worst movie. This is hands down agreed upon to be their worst movie. And if you've seen the movie, you would know a lot why. Like I haven't seen this movie. Now I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen this movie since I was like 8. Like, dude, I hated it even back fucking then. Even back then, I was like, wow, who made this fucking awful movie? Like, if I knew it was by the guys who made Despicable Me, I would have cried. Honestly, like, like I'd been like, wow, fuck, these guys fell off. Like, yeah. This is their second movie, by the way. Like Despicable Me to Hop. Like, that is the biggest downgrade in the history of anything. Like, how do you go from Despicable Me to Hop, dude? That's just not fucking possible. Anyways, and the plot of the movie makes no fucking sense. It's obviously just a cash in to be like, oh, there's no Easter movie, so people will come see this on Easter. Like, and it's like, fuck this. It's like, fuck. Part of the movie makes no fucking sense. It's like the guy's son doesn't want to be Easter Bunny, right? And this Mexican guy who works for them is like, oh, well, since he doesn't want to be Easter Bunny, like shit. By the way, the Mexican guy does all the actual work too. Like the Easter Bunny, like just goes to the houses and drops. The Mexican guy's the guy actually making the chocolate. But like the Mexican guy's the one who like really cares about the kids. Like, and then the Easter Bunny's dad's like, oh, no, we don't let Mexicans be the Easter Bunny. Like he's clearly Mexican for a reason. Like that's why I keep calling him Mexican. He's a bird, but he's clearly fucking Mexican because it's supposed to be like an allegory. It's like racism, or at least it feels that way to me. And it's like, dude, problem fucking solved in the first 10 goddamn minutes of the movie. And like the villain in Hop is like one of the worst villains. It's that Mexican guy from earlier. He's one of the worst villains I've seen in any movie. He just becomes like cartoonishly evil after he takes over the Easter Manufacturer. And you know what? That wasn't even needed because like the fucking guy who was already in control of the Easter Bunny facility was worse than he is. Like he's an awful fucking person. Genuinely deserved to win. Genuinely deserved. And the movie was fucking awful, man. Okay? Fucking awful. And it didn't even need to happen at worst. Like they could have just had the movie end 10 minutes in and it would have been 9 fucking times better than it actually was. Fuck this movie. Number 3 is Star Wars Episode 9. Yeah, I shouldn't need to explain this one. In fact, I probably need to explain why it isn't number 1. But yeah, I've never been more pissed watching a movie in my fucking life, dude. Like, oh my god, how do you... Like, I think we're finally here where it's like, how do you not know you're writing fucking dog? Like, this is where reggae comes way, way too strong. And another thing, it's like, they saw people hated Episode 8, and they're like, oh crap, we better do some extended universe stuff. And then they have Palpatine come back, just because he comes back in the comic, just because they think, like, Star Wars fans are gonna be like, oh, Palpatine's back, this is a good movie. Like, no, this isn't a good movie, this is a fucking horrible movie. The only redeeming quality is the CGI, which I don't know how the CGI looks that good. Like this is the same movie. Like this is basically the same studio that like makes the MCU movies, and like yeah, this looks about 10 times better than that. But fuck, other than that, this movie was fucking atrocious. And it was like 3 hours long too. Oh yeah, and it's episode 9 continues like nothing off of fucking episode 8. And episode 8 was a terrible movie. So you think, oh, it's not like episode 8, that's a good. No, that's bad. Alright, if you're gonna have an awful fucking movie like episode 8, you gotta at least like continue off of that. Like when making the sequel. This is even fucking further from the episode 8 and episode 7. Like this is like I shit you not, if you only watch episode 9, there is nothing in this movie you would not be able to understand. Like, at least of episode 8, like, there'd be some stuff that'd be like, okay, I might need to watch Force Awakens. Episode 9, you could start at episode 9, and, like, nothing would fucking change. Yeah, honestly, I'm just gonna move on to number 2, because this movie, like, I've never been more pissed watching a movie in my fucking life, dude. Actually, before we move on to number 2, I'm just editing this in. I just gotta say, like, I would have gone more in depth in this movie, but, like, it just pisses me off even thinking of it. But, like, one thing I do gotta mention in this video is Kylo Ren's death was fucking bullshit and forced as hell. Like, he either didn't need to die, or like they needed to commit to killing him off way more than they actually did. Number 2 is Elf Bowling the movie. And Elf Bowling the movie, man, like, oh my god. Okay, this movie has one of, if not the worst plot structure I've ever seen in my life, dude. To get you an idea at how bad it is, like when I saw the movie for the first time, I was telling my brother, like, wow, dude, I might have seen the worst. I think I might have a new worst movie I've ever seen. And he was like, oh, tell me about it. And dude, I was describing the plot of this movie and like how it's paced. And at first he was laughing. I was like, oh, that's funny. Like when I was at the point where I was talking about scenes that were like 45 minutes into the movie, he was pissed with me, even though he hasn't seen the movie, because of how little sense it made. That's how fucking bad the pacing in this movie is. And they had the audacity to get Tom Kenny too. Like they're like, oh, Tom Kenny deserves to be in a movie this bad. Like, no, how fucking dare you? Now, granted, he does play the best character in the movie. He does have play the best character in the movie. Okay, so another edit. I just realized I forgot to mention who he plays, and he plays Dingle, the villain of the movie. And by the way, this guy also sucks, but not because he deserves to win, because he's just a piece of shit. Bro, he's like literally the most cartoonishly evil person I've ever seen in anything ever. That isn't a parody. Like he's more fucking evil than like an 80s cartoon villain. And what's worse is even though this guy's a massive piece of shit, he's been a piece of shit for 600 years. He's been doing these messed up things for 600 years. And like they still trust him. Like they gave him and Santa immortality. Oh, you want to know who Dingle is? I'll give you a minute to guess who Dingle is. He's Santa's brother. Oh, and Santa's a pirate in this movie too. Like he's a pirate before he, like when I was explaining this movie to my brother, like I basically described the whole movie before informing him that we're like 5 minutes into the movie, and like, this is what I'm talking about. Like pirates at the start, like they get kicked out, they go to the North Pole, the elves give them immortality. Like, why isn't this the movie? What? There's like 6 fucking movies inside of this movie because of how awful it's paced, man. They have the audacity to shit on another movie during the airplane joke. Like, how fucking dare you? You know you're not writing fucking. You think you're ready? Like, they think they're writing gold too. They thought they had a masterpiece. They had a franchise on them, and it pisses me off so much that they thought their movie was that shit. Like, they would shit on another film franchise in the movie. Like, how dare you? You're making Elf Bowling the movie, and you're gonna shit on another film franchise? Like, fuck you. Fuck the people who made this movie. Actually, number 1 is Disaster Movie. Could there be any other fucking choice? Could there be any other choice? Because I don't think there could be any other choice. Like, Disaster Movie was so bad. The movie is like fucking. The movie is like 50 minutes. The movie is 50 minutes at least a filler. That's a 5 and a 0. And I think I'm being generous. It might actually be like an hour filler. And the movie is like 1 hour 20 minutes long. It is not a very long movie. which is the only good part about this movie, is it isn't long. Like, fuck this movie. Like, I feel like if you cut 90% of this movie out of the movie, it would still make perfect fucking sense. Well, not perfect sense, but like in terms of the story, it make perfect sense. Like you know what was going on. Like, dude, imagine Family Guy, but not funny at all. And cutaways instead of like 40% of an episode are like 97% of an episode. And to go on for way too long. That's something I hate about this movie too. There's so many jokes that could have been funny. They could have worked. But to go on for like fucking 6 decades. Like they, to go on longer than it would take me for me to watch another movie on this fucking list, even though it's like shorter. You know, like it's like the High School Musical one, for example. Like that was pretty unfunny and forced to begin with. Like, that was clearly just made because it was like, oh, High School Musical was popular at the time we released this movie. Let's put him in the movie. Like that goes on for literally 10 to 15 fucking minutes, and it's like not even like they tell new jokes. It's like literally the same thing on loop for 15 minutes because they couldn't write like a fucking story. I can't believe it was written by two people. Because like, how do two people like make a movie and this bad and not go, oh, we are untalented as hell. We should not be allowed to make a movie. We should be arrested if you release this. How do two people not come to that conclusion? Like really? Like I'm one person and they came to that fucking conclusion. All right? Okay, so this is the plot of the movie. The world's ending. They need to get a skull from a museum to stop the world from ending. And for whatever reason, the podium to do so is in this museum. And to be fair, that's one of the only jokes that I think land in the movie. It's like they have like a midget Indiana Jones. Like that got a chuckle out of me, and it didn't go on for 7 decades. Anyways, so like just get to the fucking museum, and they realize like, oh shit, they live in the same city this museum's in. It should be pretty easy to get to the museum, and it's like, so they put the most amount of filler I've ever fucking seen in a movie to get there, dude. Like, again, every fucking joke in this movie is at least 5 fucking minutes, no matter how funny it is. And guess what? It's not funny 99 times out of 10. And one time it's funny out of 10, it isn't funny anymore because of how fucking long and drawn out the joke is. Yeah, like this shouldn't be a movie. This shouldn't be a movie. This literally shouldn't have been a movie. They should have had to go to court for making this movie. I honestly, if I saw this in theaters, I would sue them for damages. Like, because like, how do you make a movie this bad? Like, how do you not know what you're writing? It's dog shit. It genuinely pisses me off that you can make a movie this bad, and like the people who write it will not say it's this bad. Like, I can't believe it wasn't. Even like, it comes to a point. You know, it's a parody movie. Like, there's a point where you gotta just. There's a point where like where it's like, no, you're not trying to be ironic. Like, this is just genuinely shit you think is watchable, and it's pissing me off. It's literally an hour of filler. It's literally an hour of filler. Like, I feel like if you cut this movie into like only stuff that progressed the plot, it would be less than 10 minutes, and it's an hour and 20 minute movie. Like, there's a freaking 10 minute section at the end where every single character in the movie is like, I had sex with this character in the movie. Like, that's not fucking funny. And like I said, even if it was funny, it's every character in the movie. It's like 10 minutes. It's the last 10 minutes of the film. Yeah, this is yeah, an undebatable worst movie I've ever seen in my fucking life.